Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Couch Creatives. I'm your host, Danny, and today I am joined by Masood, Chris, Josh, and Victor. Before we continue, I just want to send a major shout out to Speedo Juice Bar for the lovely juices, as usual, and to Ghana Dude Hub. Before we get into today's topic, which is religion, I'd just like the guys to tell us a bit more about themselves. Masood, can we start with you?
Well, I'm Masood and I'm a Muslim, so I guess I subscribe to the religion of Islam, and I do animation as well as webcomics. So I have my own YouTube video. I do a bunch of gaming on there, if you guys are into that. And I also do a lot of informative videos on webcomics and how you want to start your own webcomic. Even though you can't draw or have no experience in art, I teach that as well.
It's dope, man.
Sure. My name is Chris, and I'm a chemistry student. I do not particularly subscribe to any religion per se, but I would say if you had to sort of like categorize, it would be Christianity, but not Orthodox Christianity.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Hi guys, my name is Joshua, and I am a Christian, but I'm not really spiritual. So hopefully today I will be convinced by one of these guys on the panel which is the best way to go.
Cool.
And yeah, you're gonna have to convince me. So yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Victor. I'm a recent graduate in BCom, Information Systems and Industrial Psychology, and I'm an atheist, and that's where it really ends for me. There's no section of atheism, and that's where it ends for me.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So guys, I mean, growing up, like I was raised in a Christian household where my grandmother is Christian and my mom is Christian, and I've got grandparents as pastors, but like at the current point in time, I don't identify as Christian. I see myself as a believer. So Victor, you said you're an atheist. I'm sure you weren't raised an atheist, if I'm not mistaken.
No, yeah, it's very hard to find anyone who would actually be raised an atheist in this country. Well, funny enough, my best friend is. But no, I was raised as a New Apostolic Christian.
Oh, wow.
Up until I was, I'm actually still in the household. So up until now, but I subscribe to, I don't need to subscribe to it, I just am an atheist. Mm-hmm. Up until I was about 16 or 15, I had very little doubts. And I just came across it at some point. I think one of my friends in high school, he was an atheist, became curious from there. Mm-hmm. You then eventually just start asking questions, and the internet becomes a thing. Early around 2010, the internet became more popular, more access to it. Mm-hmm. I started asking questions, and that's really how it came about. And then from the time it was about 17, 18, I was convinced I'm an atheist, and that's just how it happened.
Okay, cool, thank you. Josh, what is a Christian, or what is Christianity to you?
So Christianity to me is it's an organization that's based on religion, which in my opinion divides people.
Yeah. But
it also has good principles. It's the cause of lots of wars. It's the cause of lots of unpeace, or no peace, and it causes a lot of friction amongst people. But it also has good principles. So it teaches love, respect. It has very good values, and I think that it does have that type of that factors that it gives to people, but there's also lots of flaws with it. So I wouldn't say religion is a good thing, but I would say in having fear in God and having fear in something, it's better to fear something than nothing, but also believe what you want to believe. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. That's what I think.
Yeah, cool. Josh.
Yes,
So Josh mentioned a few principles, and I mean, based on my knowledge, I know a lot of religions or ways of life have grounding principles or golden rules. Masood, would you mind sharing Islam's principles, or a few of Islam's principles with us, please?
Islam's principles. It's basically Islam in terms of principles, I guess, is similar to Christianity, although there's a bit more mercy, forgiveness, I guess. The concepts may differ, but many of them are similar, because in Islam we don't believe it's a new religion. We believe it's kind of a continuation of something that's been going on for years and years and years. The previous messages have just been changed due to human intervention and stuff like that. So it's kind of just a refresher of the previous religions, and kind of pointing out like exactly where things kind of took a wrong turn. But how would I say, Islam is a very basic concept. It can be basic, but it can also get very complicated, depending on the person, I guess. It's simply just believing that there's only one God and He's worthy of worship, or you don't even have to use the term God, just a being, creator, or originator of the universe, so to say. And the previous prophets came, although the current prophet in Islam, Muhammad, he is the final prophet, and therefore the final message which is preserved. So we follow him as he came for the entire world, whereas the other prophets came for their peoples and their time. Did I answer the question?
Thank you.
Like what when you heard each one of them speaking about their side about religion, which one speak to you the most and why?
Or which one can you relate to most?
Yeah.
No, obviously, I think I would relate to all of it, because I understand there's a certain part of his belief which I understand. There is a certain part of what McCormick said and I understand, and then what Sally said I understand. I think my point is that like he said, he wanted to make a decision today, but I don't think it's really about making a decision, because you just have to dive in and look at the core of every single religion, because the principle is basically the same. The principle is basically that, and I just believe it's just actually one thing, is to just do unto others what you would like them to do to you, basically. So, and then I think it resonates with every single thing, even atheism, I believe. You don't want people to do certain things to you that you don't want to do to them. So yeah, so it's actually, I think that's the core of everything. But if you want to dive into the complexity of the issue itself, then it gets really, really, really complicated. Like you would say, like you said, there is one being or creator, or some would say architect of the universe, and then you get to certain people where they have what do you call this? That's monotheism, and then there's pantheism, and where I believe that's where God is in everything or something like that, and then you get the ones that have a God for a certain thing. So it gets very complicated when you get to that. But the core of it, I believe, is basically that one principle.
Guys, what do you think of the juice? Do you like it?
Yeah, amazing.
Juice is amazing.
Show us like what you're drinking.
I finished mine before we left the show.
Yeah, I finished it as well, and
Give us a little description of what you've been drinking.
I've got like an orangey, turmeric-y, gingery vibe, and I love it, guys. It's the best.
But I have no idea what this is going to taste. It looks like a green melon. But I had one before. It was some kind of chocolate vibe.
Oh wow!
And I just couldn't wait to finish it. And it was like you were supposed to tell me not to finish it before the time. But like I couldn't stop. Like it was really good. It was nice.
Really good. Shout out to Speedo Juice.
Shout out to
Yeah.
What are you drinking, Josh? Tell us about it.
This is a orange juice. Very fresh orange juice. It's so pure. I love it. It's amazing.
Amazing.
It sounds like one of those. Sorry, can I say it?
Sound like an ad.
There was I think there was this thing. Leon's sister. You also got the same vibe, man. I know, right?
This is Ingo.
I was thinking.
Vic, tell us why atheism? What is your stance against atheism? Like, what's your disagreement between all the religions besides you?
Oh yeah, okay, to clear up one thing. Atheism is not a belief system. That's one thing. Because to call atheism a belief system is to call being bald a hairstyle. It's not really the same thing. You just have a lack of hair, the way I have a lack of belief. you need hair in order to have a hairstyle. So it's basically that I don't have a belief in anything. It's basically a default until someone obviously, let's not use the word, yeah, let's not use the word indoctrinate. If someone imposes some sort of teaching on you as a child.
Oh,
and eventually most people get imposed, and a lot of people teach themselves. So they'll educate themselves on a religion and they will change. So a lot of examples of that. My brother himself, he was due to marriage, but he made the choice eventually once he looked into Islam, and he went from Christianity to be a Muslim. So basically atheism is usually just not a choice. It's just it's a revert back to default when you're born, basically, because everyone's usually born an atheist. I know you're not everyone might agree with that, but you're technically born an atheist. If someone teaches you otherwise. The reason I went with it was just because the more I looked into religion and so on, the more I researched, the less it made sense to me. There were too many contradictions. I felt they were just, I could live without it. I didn't need it to be a good person. The more I looked into it as well, the more, especially in terms of countries, most countries that are less religious are also more successful. Usually because there's less dependence on a higher being for either success or way to push forward. Most of these countries believe more in science, which is funny because more Islamic countries, especially in Islamic regions, they push science heavily back in the day, and then when they started to have more of a drive towards religion, they fell back. And it's just because focus shifts. One exception could be like the USA. They're a very religious country, very powerful as well. But most African countries, if you look at them, they rank high in terms of importance when you ask them how important your religion is to you, but they rank lowest in terms of performance and quality of life. And then countries like, let's say Scandinavian countries, like the Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia, Iceland, Greenland, they perform extremely well, and they are the least religious countries in the world. So you can never say things like it's the better way to live, because you shouldn't, honestly. But it's just what I would like to use to go forward, and that's why I made the example with myself. It just made more sense.
And do you think it's more peaceful in terms of how you live your life as well? Because the thing is with religion, I mean, in Christianity there's the 10 commandments, so you can't do this and that, and then you've got the abominations as well. If you're lesbian or homosexual, this is an abomination, and that I think it kind of plays boundaries on young people, and now they're rebelling. And do you think like if young people had actually adopted the atheism way of life, or the atheism, I don't want to call it belief, the atheism, the default, they had adopted the default, do you think all of this homosexuality problems and like a lot of the things that we are facing today would have been avoided?
Yeah, the thing is, honestly, most of the time atheists are most accepting of people with non-traditional beliefs. So in terms of homosexuality, people being polyamorous, people, let's say abortion, things like that. Atheists are usually, and non-believers, non-religious people are usually more accepting than traditional belief systems, especially in this country, because our country is usually very deeply Christian, with, let's see, what would be second place in terms of popularity? Islam? No? It would be Islam next to religion.
Islam is the fastest growing right now.
Yeah, in the world.
In terms of popularity,
yeah, but Christianity is the biggest now. But
Islam is fastly growing.
Islam is fastly, like rapidly growing.
Do you believe that Islam is the best religion?
Obviously, I would say yes.
But you know what? Yeah, I like that. That's honest. I like that, because people are like, oh no, I don't want to say that. It's like, yeah, but if you chose to make your life about something, obviously you think it's the best.
Yeah, the interesting thing is I've actually explored many different religions, and then I picked Islam afterwards, because I was born in the Islamic household, and I was wondering why exactly do I believe what I believe, and I was at the rebellious stage in high school, and I was just trying to figure out exactly where I belong. So I went to Christianity because my grandmother was actually, she was Catholic before she came to Islam. And I looked at that, I looked at different forms of Christianity, and I couldn't really reconcile all the different forms because it's using one Bible, yet there's many different Bibles and everything. I kind of mapped that out, and then I actually explored atheism as well as I explored this, and I couldn't come to agreement that there is no originator or no God, because then nothing would exist, and something can't come from nothing. So there has to be something, and the universe can't be infinite because it has many dependent parts, and it itself can't be independent because all the parts are dependent by themselves. So I came to Islam because it made the most sense to me in terms of its basic principles, that there is only one creator and there can't be many other creators or many other beings besides that creator, and there always has to be one creator, which is, I guess, infinite. It has to be infinite or eternal, because then you can also you created that creator, and then you can go on this, what is known as the infinite regression, which you keep going back. You say that creator created this creator, that creator created this creator. So eventually you have to come to a kind of like a halt, because the universe started, so therefore there was a starting point. So you can't infinitely go back because you will never come forward.
Yeah.
So so the infinite regress. So you have to believe in something that's eternal, that had no beginning to create, and it had to have volition, it had to have will, and that's how I kind of worked it out in my mind. And I actually looked at many different aspects of Islam to find contradictions and things that don't really work well with each other. And so far the Quran has no contradictions in it. And I would actually dare anyone to go look and try to find a contradiction, because there is no contradiction. I've tried this myself. I've gone through the Quran back to front. There's no way you can actually, unless you just don't know Arabic and you just can't figure out a way through translations to kind of mend that together.
If you had evidence of God, would you become a Christian or whatever religion?
100%. That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
Concrete evidence.
It's one piece of evidence. I don't care about anything else. I would immediately become a believer. That's all it takes.
What kind of evidence are you looking for?
Something that can be scientifically measured.
You can't scientifically meet, how do you say, like you can't, science only deals with empirical evidence.
Yep.
So if something is supernatural or, how do you say, in the metaphysical world, how would you meet that criteria with science?
You dismiss it. That's it. If you look, here's the thing: if you assert anything without evidence, that thing can just be dismissed without evidence.
Yeah, but the thing is, you need a criteria for evidence, and what kind of evidence you do.
Yeah, and that's my point. The criteria needs to fall in something that's scientific. I'm not going to say I believe in science, because you don't necessarily believe in science. It's either you accept it or you don't.
Actually, you study the philosophy of science. There's actually entire philosophy behind it, and already you have to make a few assumptions before you can even apply science.
I understand that. Philosophy is usually a branch of science. Philosophy in itself is a science. It's usually the study of teaching and ways of teaching and thinking. So in itself, it's a science, right? The thing is, but I understand where you're coming from. There's a lot of things you can't just answer with science.
Yeah.
But the best thing about science and scientists is that when they don't know something, they say, I don't know. And I'm trying to find out. They don't say, oh, well, I don't have the answer, so God. That's the very important thing with me, and that's why I prefer scientific basis for anything and everything I believe in.
So, if I give you, let's use something that's very relatable right now. So, if everyone that has, let's say all of us have COVID-19, all tested, like we on deathbeds, guys, we're dying. and then miraculously we're healed. If there is not a scientific explanation for that, you are not going to believe that it's God, or you're not going to believe that it's a miracle.
No, I'll just say we haven't figured out what it is.
Okay.
That's it. But usually there would be a scientific reason for it. Yeah. The thing is, the best argument for me when it comes to science against, not necessarily against scripture or anything else, but it was an example that Ricky Gervais made. If you guys know who Ricky Gervais is. Yeah, because he just basically said, if the world ended right now and all our scriptures and books and science and it all got erased, like everything was gone, and our world came back and our civilization, people came back eventually, however it came back, however you choose to believe it came back. Our science books and our textbooks, the way we understand science, the way we view science, the way we view the world, the way gravity works, you accept it or not, the way it is, it will all come back exactly the same. Exactly the same, because it can all be measured by the exact same thing, and it is in fact just fact, it's science. But our teachings,
Actually, I would disagree.
no, it will come back slowly, but it's all going to come back the same way. It will have different words. It will have different words for it, because obviously language will evolve and so on. But it's going to come back the exact same way. But our teachings, our scriptures, our religions in the world, those will all be entirely different. And it's because it was largely made up by people in order to understand the world that they didn't understand. Because when religion came into place, it was to answer questions that they didn't understand, and slowly, eventually, like science answers those questions, and that's why it contradicts a lot of the teachings. I'm more familiar with Christianity teachings, being a former Christian myself, and that was the thing I chose to not oppose, but that was what I looked into more, and it was like they had a lot of teachings that contradicted science. And it's because they didn't know what the answer was. They were like, oh, why does the sun do this? And then they just made up their own thing for what the sun is. And then eventually science answered it. So when they didn't know, they went to a God must have done it. You know what I mean? But that's basically my biggest pro for accepting science instead of a religion to answer the questions that I have, because like I said, it has a baseline, and it will always come back to that baseline eventually. But our teachings will change.
Guys, Mandla's got a question for us, for you guys.
This question is not in the convo, you know. Okay, like, as an Islamic guy, why don't they drink alcohol?
Oh, why don't we drink alcohol?
Guy too much.
In Islam, there's a concept that whatever, how do I say? I'm trying to think now of the wording, because
deteriorates.
No. I'm trying to think of.
I mean, I just want to say something. Like, since when these Muslims don't drink alcohol? I mean, I know thousands of them.
Apparently, no. Apparently, it's against their religion. It's against the teaching.
Against the teaching of Islam.
Yeah, but people do it anyway.
It's Muslims that do it.
It's the same like Christians, because I mean, the Bible says you can have alcohol, but you can't have alcohol to a point where you're drunk.
It's actually the same teaching.
Is it the same?
Yeah, it's the exact same. Like, you're not supposed to.
One thing I actually can't know what it is.
So you can't say, but you can drink.
I was like, why do a lot of Muslim guys and so on who are so deeply into their faith drink constantly? So I looked it up. I was like, are they actually allowed to drink? And it's that you very much are, but they very much are allowed to drink. You're just not allowed to overindulge. Same way in Christianity, you're just not allowed to overindulge. That's
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say you're completely not allowed to drink. And because in Islam, there's a concept where whatever how do I say this? Whatever harms you, the benefits, the harm outweighs the benefit. So the harm of alcohol outweighs the benefit of alcohol, so therefore it's permitted just for you to stay away from it completely. So because we believe in prevention is better than cure.
Yes.
So
what about drinking certain wines in moderation? Certain wines, if you drink
moderation,
one glass per night, it's actually
It's healthy.
you see, if you start there's people that's not going to do in moderation. So that's why, as a basic principle, we just say don't go even near it. So
it's like,
because alcohol can lead to lots of things. There's 5 poisons in this world. There's actually a video on a channel called EF Tower if you want to check up. They go deep into the 5 poisons of the world, which is gambling, alcohol abuse, adultery, drug abuse.
It doesn't say alcohol.
Yes, but 1 sip can lead to 20 bottles. So that's why we say prevention is better than cure.
Oh, but I get it. So it's not that you say don't do it. It's that because you know that people are not going to respect the fact that you should drink maybe 1 glass, as you said, per night or something. And then so because they're not going to respect that, that's why you forbid it. But in itself, it's not really wrong to take that 1 glass.
There is benefit and harm in it, but the harm outweighs the benefit. So that's
for that 1 glass.
It can lead to 20 glasses. That's why we like just cut it off by the head.
Why don't you just don't do it? 1 glass, and then if you don't respect
the very basic thing is God said it, so just don't do it.
God said it.
Yeah, in the Quran, just don't drink. So if you believe in the Quran and the Prophet said don't drink, so don't drink.
Yeah, but you remember the thing, the Quran was written or thingy over a period of 20 years, right? So
23.
23, okay. So it was being sort of like revealed, right? Now, was that part of was the Prophet dictating what was revealed when he said don't drink, or was he, as a wise person or a sage, as they called back in the day, as seeing that he has that knowledge and then looks at everything, observes with his own intellect, with his own reasoning, and then says, okay, I see because of this Sally's gonna be getting drunk all the time, so no drinking.
No, actually,
or was it a direct translation, or not translation, but revelation? Or did he dictate that as it was revealed?
No, it was revealed to him, and then he dictated it. But like it came piecemeal because the people of Arabia at that time were like alcoholics, so they couldn't okay guys, just stop immediately now. So what happened is a verse came down where it said, okay, you can drink, just don't drink during prayer. Okay, and then it came down again, don't drink during this time, and then eventually the final rule came down where it's like, okay, now you stop drinking. So it's like winning them off the alcohol, because at this time the people of Arabia, they were very they were idol worshippers who drank constantly at this time, buried their daughters alive. They had very crazy things. So you kind of had to pull them away from that mindset slowly, instead of just ripping the sheet off them and then.
Josh, you've been quiet this whole time.
Yeah, I wanted to ask now.
Josh, what do you think, Josh?
Wait, Josh, I've actually got a specific question for you. Because you are Christian, or you haven't made up your mind yet, but you are predominantly Christian.
Yeah.
So happy birthday, by the way. Is it your birthday?
I told you it's my birthday.
Happy birthday, Josh! Oh my goodness. I'm going to feel so bad now after asking you this question, but I have to. So I know the Bible says that we are created in God's image and in God's likeness, right? And I think, so over time people have said that humans are inherently evil. We are inherently evil. We inherently, we just possess the ability to be evil without being triggered. So if we are created in God's image and in God's likeness, and we are inherently evil, does that then mean that God is evil? Or God has the ability to be evil?
That's the question, and I don't know.
What do you think? What do you think?
Oh, what I actually think about everything that's been said right now. Believe what you want to believe. I'm hearing lots of facts. I'm hearing lots of facts, and
because pastors teach this. People that are ministers, they teach you that you are inherently evil. How can you tell me that I'm created in God's image and God's likeness, and then tell me that I'm inherently evil? My inherent ability comes from God. I am created in His likeness, which means that my God is evil as well.
Wow. But you could also say this. If God is all, because you would say, I think when you recite, you say God is all merciful, all powerful.
I wouldn't say all merciful.
I mean, He's merciful. Most. Oh, okay. Powerful and good. I think good is in it.
I would say all good.
All good. All right. and then you would say he's all knowing.
He's all wise.
So he knew that that Lucifer was going to be the devil.
What?
Lucifer. Good question.
100%. That's what I'm saying. He knows everything. Yeah.
So he knew that.
There must be no mistake.
So
There must be no mistake.
yeah. So if he knew that Lucifer was going to be the devil, right, and still created Lucifer in itself, and then that would mean he himself, we come back to that evil thing, so he must have, because everything apparently came from him.
Yes,
So
even Lucifer came from him.
Apart from him, there was nothing else, if you look at it that way.
Yeah.
So then, if Lucifer is evil, then technically that came from him as well, which means that is sort of like a part of him.
Well, in Islam, you see the devil in Christianity and Islam is a bit different, because the devil is another creation of God, which is known as jinn in Islam. They kind of also given free will. They were before the humans. So the devil was he was in that status of God where he literally sat with angels, like he was that good. And I know in a Christian concept, like he was an angel, right, who fell.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in Islam, angels are perfect and they don't really have free will, so they can't disobey God in Islam. So the devil was basically is a jinn. So he was given free will. Now God knew, and God actually tested him. So God made a creation, humans, Adam, and he placed him in front of the devil, seeing what he would do. And even though God knows, obviously God knows, but he's testing him. And he looked in, Adam was made out of clay, and he knocked on him, and he said, is this really, and the devil actually became arrogant, and he was like, is this really, better than me, like this? Actually, one of the first races, to be honest. He's one of the first races because he believed he's better because he's made of fire. So he believed he was better than Adam. And when the God told him to prostrate to Adam, he chose not to. So he was banished. But coming to the evil, in Islam, we don't believe you're inherently evil. Humans are born weak. We are born with free will. So you have the ability to sin, but you also have the ability to repent, and God is the most forgiving, so he will forgive you. So I don't know, like it's a very tough question, like theologically.
So you guys have, the jinn is what, one or many?
The jinn, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot. So you guys have a lot of devils, we only have one.
Oh shit!
No, the jinn aren't bad or good.
Okay.
They have free will. They can choose to be good. They can choose to be bad.
Choose to be good or be bad.
Some of them are Muslim. Some of them are Christian. Some of them are Jewish.
So jinn are human beings, actually.
They like us, but
In a spiritual.
but they kind of constitute the unseen world. So you can't really see them. They're part of that type of world. They live among us, but
Okay.
That's confusing.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
Can I ask Chris something? Do you subscribe to like Christian Judeo God, as in that comes from the Bible and so on, or is it just your belief in a higher power that is God? Is it rooted in religion, or is it just your own version of God that you?
No, I wouldn't say my own version, because in my upbringing, I would say I was actually, initially I was Catholic because my grandparents were Catholic. We used to go to the thingy and mass and everything. So, my problem is actually not I wouldn't say my problem is actually with religion itself.
Okay.
So that's
why
why
we're agreeing a lot.
So my problem is actually with religion, because I think somebody brought up a point about what religion has done, whether it's Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and Hinduism, and all that. That I have a problem with that concept of religion, because to me, the opinion, it's very wrong. It's very wrong, and it's very I would say the word it's running out. It's basically there's a
Divides people.
not really. The word is really just
Unnecessary.
that's different.
Yeah, I don't want it. Unnecessary doesn't need to be negative.
Yeah,
There's a lot of unnecessary things in our life that we can still use and enjoy.
It's like there is a weak point in religion which people have exploited over and over and over again. Because we say like religion has caused the death of more than World War I, II, even they're gonna be a 3-1. Do you know what I mean? Like religion, the base of religion, when a person believes that I am mandated or I'm basically sent by God to basically do this, they will do anything. It's like that's why the kings in the olden times have so much power, because they were placed there by God. That's what basically people believe, that these are here by God's will. So whatever the king says is law. It's basically almost like what God says. That's what gave the kings in the olden times so much power. And remember when there was the French Revolution, when they killed the king and beheaded that Queen Antoinette or something, or Anne or something. So where they now decided to elevate the goddess of reason. Do you know what I mean? The goddess of reason during the French Revolution. So they beheaded I believe the queen, and then they killed the king or somehow. And then then they decided to do that and from that's where we all get all this reasoning. So we get the machinery and all this stuff. So people start now, not like you said before, not relying on religion and try to basically do things for themselves.
I see.
I just want to say that I would disagree with saying that religion causes the most death, because if you actually research it, most of the people causing the most death were people who were atheists, I'm sorry to say. But I mean, if you heard of no. I'm sorry to say this, but like if you look at like the thermal tigers and all these people in history who flew their planes into people's, because see, the thing about atheism is, and this is the flaw I found with it when I was doing my research, is that you don't really have a foundational grounding for atheism. You can't really say what's right or wrong, because if God exists, then right or wrong comes from God. But if there is no God, right or wrong is subjective now. Now it's just depending on who says what and the consensus of everyone, social consensus. So
what you're saying is, without your religion, you wouldn't be able to control yourself.
No, I'm not saying that.
No, that's essentially what you're saying. Because you're saying
No.
Here's the thing. Remember, there are so many kids who grow up in countries that has no concept of religion. And they grow up not killing anyone else.
And they are known as Muslims.
Just by the way, the highest level in terms of population in prisons are religious people. Atheists make up less than 1% of that's the thing. No, that's of course.
But wouldn't wouldn't it make sense for most people to be religious and be in prison, because majority of a planet?
No, that's a very important one. It's a population, in terms of population, right? However, in a country like the United States, this is where the study is from, they make up about 10% are non-religious, and about 5% are absolute atheists. But less than 1% make up prison population. So that means in proportion to their population density in the US, they commit fewer crimes. And in terms of Christians and Muslims in the same country, they make up more of the criminals in custody. And remember, just one more thing. Atheists don't commit crimes because of atheism. They don't make it they don't say, in the name of nothing. We don't do that. I don't say we, because we're not a group.
When you talk about prison and America, right? There is a prison in America, so you can't really, because there's a lot of things that go on, right? Like in the 80s and do you know about
this? Has gone for a long time, we can talk about
this. You about the war on drugs, right?
Black people being incarcerated.
Did you see that part? So, and then if you look at and given, like for example, for little petty crimes, given like 10 years, 15 years, and then, that would basically enter into your equation on the amount of thingy in prison. So that does not really.
Yeah, that in the note it will say that it will definitely skew things. It can definitely skew things, but not to the extent, because when that happened and when the study was conducted, which I believe is somewhere in the 2010s, there aren't many people with 35+ year sentences. So those people that were as part of like the crackdown on drugs and trying to incarcerate minorities and people who live in poverty, which ended up being black people and Inuit, it was part, they won't necessarily fall part as to skew that study so much. But the thing is, it just goes to show that a lot of teachings in religion, the thing is, the most peaceful country should be the most religious countries then, if that made sense. If that were the thing, but it's not. The poorest countries and the countries with the highest rates of crime are the most religious countries. And it's the inverse for the least religious countries. Like I said, Iceland, Czechoslovakia, and so on and so on. And it's not because they get taught a certain way or anything. Honestly, I can't speak enough on that. I can't say, you can't say it's because it's better or not. It just happens to be the case. So it's just to refute what he said when it came about, we don't have a baseline for not doing anything wrong. Because the thing is, the reason I don't kill people is not because my mom told me to do it because of Christianity. I lived in a natural environment where I realized, that would suck if someone did that to me. I'm not going to do it to someone else. It's the exact same thing with don't do unto others what you don't want done unto you. And that's something that you can pick up naturally. You don't need to pick that up
that is what's known as the fitra.
But now with regards to the fact that you said, one point before we got another time, where you said when you talk about the peace and religion, you say that the most religious country should be the most or peaceful one.
Yeah.
But you have to remember that those also, as you also said, the poorest or the poor countries are the most religious.
Yes.
Now wherever there is poverty, all right, wherever there's a poverty, you can't have peace, no matter how religious you are.
That's a very good point.
Like there's this video where Tupac was saying, we like knocking on the door, people are having like a white Christmas. I don't know if you've seen it, having a white Christmas. We're hungry out here. We need something to eat.
Yeah.
And then you guys are just having cakes, throwing food around. It's like there's a certain point, people are gonna break down that door and then go in and then take the food.
Yeah. No, it's a very good point. It's a very good point. But it's still not an argument. It's profound but technically meaningless. You know what I mean? No, not meaningless entirely.
I just want to add to
what he's saying is
so it's like you said the most religious country should be the most peaceful country, right?
Yeah.
But to me, I can only use two countries to just categorize. Say Saudi Arabia is a 100%, let's say 99% Islamic country, which is religious country. Israel is 99%.
It's the two war zones on the planet.
You get the point?
Okay.
Now they are still peaceful. There's no war in.
That's perfectly fine. If what you're saying is true, yes, that's a good example of an outlier, and that's it. An exception does never make a rule. That's the most important part. But remember that.
Majority rules, guys.
But that's the thing. Exception doesn't fall part of it.
I think what we're missing here is that religion has tended to be more political than it should. You get the point? So
I agree with
whatever war, whatever crime we see is just politics. We don't call it religion anymore. Because if you do reset our religion is actually, all religion is about peace. It teaches peace. There's nowhere in the Bible that says go and steal. They said thou shalt not steal. Same thing in the Holy Quran, same thing in the Jewish book. You get the point? Which means there's a word going out there. It's just that to me it's a human nature.
It doesn't say steal, but it does say you should stone an adulteress. And it does also say that women should be silent. It says a lot of things that it shouldn't say.
So that aspect I don't know.
But you know what I mean? There is a lot of evil in it as well. And it's not, how can I say, just because it says some good things that we would naturally do, by the way, doesn't mean that, it's good. Because then for every good thing it says a bunch of bad stuff. Like if you look in the Bible, you would think, the most evil person in the Bible is the devil. The devil kills like 11 people in the Bible. God kills like over 3 million.
And the babies, and the cows, and the thingy.
Here's one example in the Bible. there are 42 kids that are mocking a man for being bald. I don't remember what his name is. They're simply mocking him.
Yeah, it was a prophet, I believe it was a prophet.
Yeah, and all he does is he curses them back. And because he curses them back, God listens to him and he molds those kids with 2 bears. Kids. This is in the Bible. And this is what I'm saying. These are the little things that you read up on eventually once you actually want to do some research. And the thing is, for everything about, oh, I shall not steal, there's something like that. Where I will kill someone because he was rude to someone that I like. Yeah.
But you know, to me in that text is like a punishment. For every crime there should be a punishment. You get the point? If
I don't want your friends to kill me. and then think that's okay.
I think it depends on the extent of the crime.
Of course.
You can't chop someone's hand off for stealing like a Snickers bar or something.
Exactly.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna wrap up now.
Your own house, there's some rules that way.
Josh, let's wrap it up with you.
Let's wrap it up. What's your last comment?
Yeah, because you've been silent, I want to hear you talk.
Believe what you want to believe.
Okay, so I've made my decision. Listening to all this facts and you wrong, he's right, I'm right, you wrong.
No one's saying
But that's what I think. That's what I'm.
At the end of the day, I'm kind of like you, and like just believe what you want to believe as long as you don't hurt people.
Exactly. So I don't care about any of this.
Okay.
It's irrelevant. Like I don't. It's not. There's much bigger things to worry about than religion. I mean,
It's irrelevant now until you die.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for taking the time. Okay guys, Masood, Chris, Josh, Victor, it was so much fun having you guys here on Couch Creatives. Thank you. Where can we find you? Instagram? Facebook?
Instagram. Tell him we have Victor Russ. That's basically what it is.
Victor Russ?
Whoever's watching it doesn't know.
Yeah,
they don't know.
Victor_Russ.
Okay.
I can't remember my Instagram now. I think it's Matt Josh. 96.
Okay. Chris, Instagram?
I got nothing.
You don't do Insta, Masood?
You can check me out on YouTube at The Chainsaw Maniac if you enjoy gaming or just want to learn more about webcomics. I also do a webcomic on Webtoon, you can check that out. It's called The Merchant of Ignatius. Sort of a fantasy fighting type of comic. And yeah, I mean, once you get on YouTube, all my links are there, guys. Don't worry.
Okay.
You just get to The Chainsaw Maniac on YouTube, and all my links will be there. So,
and I'm sure we'll drop it in the description below. Guys, please give Craziekind a follow on Instagram, Facebook. Check us out. A big shout out once again to Speedo Juice Bar for the delicious refreshments and Ghana Dude Hub. Oh, you guys can get me on Instagram at Danelle Jamae Haynes. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Yes.
It's been fun. That's a wrap.
I think there's something that was not